There is a moment, somewhere on the third turn of the same thought at 11 at night, when the thought stops being information. It becomes furniture. You did not invite it. It does not leave. You roll over. The pattern in the ceiling traces the same 5 lines you have counted 300 times. The house is quiet. The thought is not. You ran it at 11. You ran it at 1 in the morning. You will run it again at 3. Tonight we are going to walk through what Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, and a 2025 transdiagnostic meta-analysis all converge on. The same map. There are 3 filters that turn an open loop into a closed door. And the loop is not your fault. It is what a brain without a built-in stop runs when nobody has taught it the stop. By the end of this, you will have one. We are going to call it the STOIC STOP. 3 filters, 1 stop, control, container, action. If you have ever run the same thought across the ceiling at 11 at night, drop a 1 in the comments. That is it. Just a 1. And if any of this is starting to sound familiar, hit like. The like button is what tells the algorithm to send this to the next person sitting up at 1 in the morning. Probably someone in your time zone. Probably tonight. Overthinking is not a personality trait. That is the first thing to put on the table. The clinical name for what you are doing at 11 at night is repetitive negative thinking. Researchers call it transdiagnostic, which is their way of saying it shows up across diagnoses. Rumination, when the loop is about the past. Worry, when the loop is about the future. Same machinery. Different direction of travel. 2 systems are running, and most of us have never separated them. The first system is the cortisol spike. The body's threat response, evolved for ancient predators, firing now at a thought about an email. The second system is what the cognitive scientists call default mode rumination, the mind's idle setting. When there is no task consuming attention, the mind reaches for the open file, the unresolved thing, and it runs the same query over and over, hoping a different answer will appear. It will not. The Stoics did not have these words, but they had the moment. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, the man with the most external power in his world, wrote about the loop as if he had it himself. Because he did. Seneca, the senator, wrote a letter to a friend 2,000 years ago with a single line that has outlived every empire. There are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. One quick disclaimer before we go further. This is education, not therapy. If the loop is taking your sleep, please talk to a clinician. What follows is a frame, not a treatment. We are going to call this architecture the STOIC STOP. 3 filters, 1 stop. The stop is not a number you wait to hit. It is a wall you build yourself, 1 stone at a time, before the loop ever asks the question again. The STOIC STOP has 3 filters. Control, container, action. We are going to walk all 3. If at the end of this it feels less like a flaw in your wiring and more like a frame you can run, you do not have to do anything. You will already be on the other side of it. If this is landing, here is the deal. Subscribe to the channel. We do one of these every week. Frameworks like this one. Stoic, plain, useful tonight, not in 5 years. Subscribe and they show up in your feed when they ship. That is the only way the channel finds you again. Before we go into the 3 filters, do one thing. Sit up if you are lying down. Name 5 things you can see in the room. Out loud, even quietly. The cup, the book, the lamp, the door, The shoes. 5. The mind cannot be inside the loop and inside the room at the same time. The room wins every time when you ask it to. That is filter 0. The body has to know there is a room before the mind will believe the loop is not the world. Filter 1. Control. Epictetus, who started his life as a slave and ended it as the most quoted teacher of the entire Stoic school, opened his handbook, the Enchiridion, with a single sentence that drew the whole architecture in one stroke. Some things are in our control, and others are not. That is the line. The first sentence of the first paragraph of the first manual. He did not bury it. He did not save it for chapter 12. He led with it, because the entire architecture stands on it. Most overthinking is happening on the wrong side of that line. The thing the loop is running on is not in your control, but the loop is acting as if it were. The boss who said the thing in the meeting. The friend who has not texted back. The decision the other person is going to make at 9 in the morning, 3 days from now. None of it is in your control. The loop is treating it like a math problem. It is not a math problem. It is weather. Detection cue for filter 1. Ask the loop one question. Is this thing in my control? If yes, the loop is a planning problem. Make a list. Take an action. Close the file. If no, the loop is on the wrong side of Epictetus's line. The most loyal answer the Stoics ever gave to that question was 3 words. Then it stops. Not because the thing went away. Because you stopped giving it the bandwidth the room needs. Filter 2. Container. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, Book 4, Section 7, wrote 4 words that name what filter 2 does. Let opinion be taken away. He was not talking about politics. He was not talking about debate. He was talking about the layer the mind paints onto the event after the event. The thing that happened is the event. The opinion is the verdict the mind delivered about the event. The verdict is not the event. The verdict is what is keeping you awake. He says it in 3 lines, and they are some of the most useful sentences in the entire Meditations. Let opinion be taken away, and no man will think himself wronged. Choose not to be harmed, and you will not feel harmed. Do not feel harmed, and you have not been. The thing that happened can sit in its own container. The verdict can sit in another container. The 2 are different things. Filter 2 is the move where you open the second container. The thought, in plain words, on a page. Not spinning in your head, where it has no edges. On a page, where it has edges. Once it has edges, it stops being furniture. It becomes paper. Paper does not need the bed. Detection cue for filter 2. Can you write it down in 1 sentence? If you cannot, that is the loop. The loop is fog. The sentence is the wall. The wall is what filter 2 builds. Filter 3. Action. Seneca, in Letter 13 to Lucilius, wrote the line that the modern data finally caught up to. There are more things, Lucilius, likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. He wrote that to a friend in the year 63 of the Common Era. In 2025, a research team led by Stenzel and colleagues published a transdiagnostic meta-analysis of cognitive behavioral therapy for repetitive negative thinking. They pooled the studies. They ran the math. They reported the result in a single number on the Hedges G scale, 0.67. Moderate effect in favor of cognitive behavioral therapy across rumination and worry, across diagnoses, across populations. The mind, they confirmed, can be talked out of the loop. Slowly, with practice, with a specific kind of action. The action is not telling yourself to stop overthinking. That does not work. The action is the move from inside the head to outside the head, from thought to paper, from paper to a single behavior the next morning, from the loop to the room. 1892 years between Seneca's letter and the Stenzel meta-analysis. The Stoics named the cure. The clinicians measured it. Detection Q for filter 3. Does the loop ask you to do something tonight? If yes, do the one thing, then close the file. If no, the loop is not a planning problem. It is imagination. And the cure for imagination is the page, not another loop. So here is the Stoic stop, fully named. 3 filters: control, container, action. Control says, ask the loop one question first. Is this thing in my control? If no, the loop is on the wrong side of Epictetus's line. The line he opened the entire handbook with 2,000 years ago. Container says, if it is in your control, write it down in one sentence. The thought has edges on the page. It does not have edges in the bed. Marcus Aurelius said it in 4 words. Let opinion be taken away. The page takes it. The bed does not have to. Action says, the cure for imagination is not another thought. It is a move from the head to the room. Seneca named the cure in letter 13, in the year 63. Stenzel and colleagues measured it in 2025. Hedges G. 0.67. 3 filters. 1 stop. The Stoic stop is not a feeling. It is a wall. You build it once. You walk through it every night. If you have walked with us through the inner Citadel, you already have the shape of this. The Citadel was the room nobody could enter without your permission. The Stoic stop is the door of that room. 3 filters. 1 lock. Same Stoic instinct. The piece is built, brick by brick, on the inside. Here is the line. Say it once with me, even if only in the kitchen. You are not broken. You are running a loop the brain has no built-in stop for. The Stoic stop is the wall you build yourself. 3 filters. 1 stop. 3 diagnostic questions before we leave the takeaway. Question 1. Does the thought give you new information? If no, that is filter 1. The loop is recycling, not solving. Question 2. Is it about something you actually have power over? If no, the loop is on the wrong side of Epictetus's line. Question 3. Does it ask you to do something tonight? If no, it can wait for the page. That is filter 2. 3 answers. Your Stoic stop. Not a story about being broken. A story about an architecture that was running on the wrong side of the line, with no container, asking you to act on whether. 3 install practices. Pick one tonight. The first is the worry window. Pick 15 minutes. One time of day. Not before bed. Outside that window, when a loop thought starts, the answer is, not now. Tuesday at 6. The thought goes on a cue, not a stage. It will be there at 6? Most of them will not be. The second is the page dump. Notebook beside the bed. When a thought arrives at 11 at night, write it in one sentence. Close the book, lie down. The page received it. The brain releases it. The 2025 Stenzel meta-analysis gives this technique its empirical floor. Externalizing repetitive negative thinking onto an external substrate is one of the most replicated cognitive behavioral mechanisms in the field. The third is the body cue. When the loop starts, name 5 things you can see in the room. Not metaphors, actual objects. The cup, the book, the lamp, the door, the shoes, 5. The mind cannot be inside the loop and inside the room at the same time. The room wins. You do not need all three. Pick the one that is closest to the door tonight. That is the Stoic stop. Control, container, action, 3 filters, 1 stop. The thoughts will keep coming. The loop will keep starting. The brain is not going to grow a built-in stop tomorrow morning. But you can build the wall, 1 stone at a time. So here is the one thing to do tonight. Not tomorrow. Tonight. When the loop starts, write it on a page beside the bed in 1 sentence, and close the book. The page will hold it. You will sleep. In the morning, the page will still be there if the thought is still real. Most of them will not be. That is the test. And in the comments, 3 words. The first thing you notice when the loop started running tonight, before this video began. Mine, when I lived it, was the ceiling. The pattern in the plaster I had counted 300 times. Yours might be the dark. Whatever it is, write it down once tonight. The page might want it. Subscribe and keep one of these in your back pocket every week. Daily Stoic mentality. Ancient wisdom for the modern mind.